Good evening, Ann Joe.
Good evening. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. Raising hell,
What was that last part?
raising hell.
Oh, good. Somebody has to do that.
Hi, everyone.
Good evening.
Hello, Linda.
Hello.
There's Bill.
Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, we
Yep.
can hear you, Bill. Thank you. Thank you for bearing with me while I was rebooting.
Not a problem. One has to do that.
You know, every now and then, and I'm going to turn off Alexa because having her eavesdrop on my meeting always makes it weird, you know? There's too many computers listening to everything I say in my house.
Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
we
hear
can
you.
hear you, Bill. And there's Anjo.
Wait, what? Mom, did you hear that?
And I'm just looking for, oh, Rob. Kelly, okay.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, everyone, we're just waiting for Rob and then we can get started.
Were those little stage whispers we heard in the background?
I know my son on the hot mic, his headphones aren't working.
What are you showing us, Mr. Cook?
Hi, Rob, how are you tonight?
I'm well, Adrian, yourself?
I'm doing great. Thanks for being here.
It was a little dicey there for a minute, but on my end, I wasn't getting in for some reason.
Oh, really? Okay.
All
right.
righty. Looks like we have a quorum.
Indeed. And would you like me to begin?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Did you want to do commissioner roll call? to
Sure,
start?
I'll open the meeting and I'll do a roll call, okay?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. So welcome everyone to the Wednesday, October 20th, 2021 meeting of the Gloucester Conservation Commission. Consistent with Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, this meeting will be conducted by remote participation. The public may not physically attend the meeting, but every effort will be made to allow the public to view and listen to the meeting in real time and participate when necessary. Persons who wish to do so are invited to view the meeting at the link provided on the City of Gloucester website under Remote Meetings Conservation Commission, October 20th. Or join by phone at any one of the numbers provided on the meeting notice and agenda with the webinar ID 815-5859-0922. In the event that a live transmission proves unworkable for any reason, an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of the meeting will be made available on the city's website as soon as possible. And a roll call for commissioners. Commissioner Charpentier.
Here.
Commissioner Cook.
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell.
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent.
Here.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson
Here.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Here.
Okay, and before we begin, I would just like to announce as part of the revised agenda posted this afternoon, we have 2 hearings that requested to continue to November 3rd. They are the ANRAD under continued business 028-2765, 171-281R Magnolia Ave, How Mag LLC, and RDA 1713-101 Eastern Ave, Braga. And that's all.
Okay. First up is administrative briefing. Anything else to add, Adrian, at this time?
I have, well, you know what, I will add, it's not on the agenda, but I want to make the commission aware of the fact that I'm also working on the open space plan update. It is starting to really take shape. And one of the items that's associated with that are the later sections wherein the city outlines goals and action items for the future plan. It's a 7-year plan. This will go out for a public comment period cycle, and the commission will receive that. So you will be seeing draft sections circulating by email with an opportunity for you to comment, and hopefully as a matter on our administrative briefing in the future for feedback. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up is our public comment period. This is the period where the public is welcome to speak towards conservation issues that are not, I repeat, not on tonight's agenda. Anyone who wishes to speak from the public may do so now by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen, or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
Okay. So I see Jane Knott with her hand up. Jane, I'm going to allow you to talk and ask you to unmute. Go ahead.
Okay, good evening, commissioners and Adrian.
You're a little hard to hear.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me better now?
A little bit, yep.
Okay, I'll speak up.
Thank you.
I just wanted to point out that I'm representing the group Save Salt Island, and we submitted a letter to the commission on October 5th, just asking the commission if there was anything that they could do with respect to continued requests for continuations. And the reason I'm speaking tonight before the hearing is that last week we felt it was going to move forward, but then the applicant didn't show up. So we wanted to just have this opportunity to ask the commissioners if in a case like this, if you can just make a decision to discuss the issues based on the information that has already been submitted, as opposed to having it drawn out week after week after week.
So the short answer is no, we can't discuss it. The applicant has every right to continue, I think, for quite a long period of time. It's the law. It's not under our discretion in any way. So as you would have the same right if you were doing a project and you needed to regroup or whatnot, it really doesn't matter to us. But the bottom line is we cannot take them off. They have to remove themselves or ask to either withdraw or present the project. But we can't do anything.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry, I know it can be annoying, but there is nothing we can do about it.
Okay, thank you very much for listening.
No worries. Thank you. Anybody else?
I see no other hands at this time. For the record, commissioners, there are 36 attendees and 19 panelists on the call right now.
Okay. All right, next up, seeing none, hearing none, close the public comment period. Next up is minute review and approval. We have December 16th, September 1 and December 16th of 2020, September 1 of 2021, and September 15, 2021. I'm
Mr.
good with
Chairman?
all.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind my interrupting you,
Sure.
would you be able to yield the floor to the mayor?
Oh, sure.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mayor.
Thank you. I just wanted clarification when he said that they can extend for as much as they want. It's law. What law is that? Is it in our ordinance? Is it state law?
It's under the Wetlands Protection Act. So the burden is upon the applicant to proceed in the Wetlands Protection Act, and the applicant actually has the ability to carry a matter on the agenda of a local conservation commission for up to 2 years with no action before the commission has the unilateral authority to deny it for lack of sufficient information.
That's what I need clarified. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so we're back to minutes review and approval. I'm good with them. I think they got cleaned up, correct? There was 1 or 2 issues that needed to be resolved.
Yeah, shall I move forward with a motion?
Sure.
Okay. Commissioner Jackson moves to approve the minutes for the Conservation Commission meetings of December 16th, 2020, September 1st, 2021, September 15th, 2021, all as amended.
Charpentier seconds?
Roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent.
I'll have to abstain on December 16th, 2020.
Thank you. Co-Chairwoman Jackson
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you. And congratulations, commissioners. We are up to speed on minutes.
Hallelujah.
Wow, that's excellent. Thank you for all your work on that, getting it done.
Oh,
Thank you to
truly.
Deb. Deb will hear this recording. Thank you, Deb, for all
Thank
that
you,
you do
Deb.
for us.
Absolutely.
Okay. Next up, continued business, RDA 1703 Salt Island LLC, Mark Magnetti applicant.
Mr. Martinetti is not on the call, and he also
Okay.
did not return my call.
All right, so we'll move to continue until the next meeting.
That's correct.
Commissioner Jackson moves to continue RDA 1703 Salt Island to the meeting of November 3rd.
Charpentier seconds?
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next up, right here, notice of intent 28-2802, 237 East Main Street, Brinkman LLC, John Judd at Gateway Consultants representing.
Oh, we're one step ahead. We do need to continue the ANRAD.
Oh, okay, I thought it was previously continued. All righty. And Joe, you want to move to continue ANRAD 28-2765?
Certainly. Commissioner Jackson moves to continue NRAD 0282765, 171 to 281 Rear Magnolia Avenue to the Conservation Commission meeting of November 3rd.
Charpentier seconds?
Roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
We'd have to look it up and see.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now we can move on to notice of intent 28-2802, 237 East Main Street, Brinkman LLC, John Judd at Gateway Consultants representing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, John Judd, engineer with Gateway Consultants, representing Brinksman LLC. And we have Kyle Grant, who is the manager of that LLC, on the the meeting tonight, but this is a continuation from the October 6th meeting where there was a couple of requests for this plan to be modified, indicating to the right of the plan that Adrian has up, indicating that the existing floats within the harbor line shall be removed upon the reconstruction of the multi-phased pier construction as shown. There was also one other note toward the bottom, middle of the edge of the phase 5, if you will, and that basically indicates that the existing pier encroachments would be corrected or would be removed during the construction. We did also, as part of that request on the 6th, attach a section view of the pier as requested by Adrian, and I believe those were the only two outstanding items requested. We do have a file number from DEP, and we do have favorable comments from both the harbor master and Shellfish. Can answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Judd. I'll open up for public comment first. If anybody wishes to speak for or against the project at 237 East Main Street, you may do so now by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
I see no members of the public to comment at this time.
Okay, seeing none, hearing none, close the public comment period. Next up, Commissioner, why don't we jump to Commissioner comments then? Roll call comments.
Commissioner comments, Commissioner Charpentier,
None at this time?
Commissioner Cook,
No comments.
Commissioner Gradwall,
No comment.
Commissioner Sargent,
No comment.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
No comment.
and Co-Chairman Gulla.
It looks like everything we requested, the applicant followed up on. Everything looks good to me as well, so no comments. So
Great.
based on that and all the commissioners, if no one has any other comments,
Does the agent have any further comments?
No, I have nothing to add. I think I've received everything that I need to for this
Okay,
Been a violation.
particular project.
okay. In that case, Commissioner Jackson moves to close the public hearing for NOI 0282802 at 237 East Main Street.
Carpentier seconds?
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gulla.
yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson moves to approve NOI 0282802 at 237 East Main Street as documented.
Carpentier seconds?
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gulla.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Thank you all.
Next
Thank
up,
you.
did someone have something to say? Okay. Next up, notice of intent 28-2805, 43 Farrington Avenue, Kane, Dan Ottenheimer at Mill River Consultant representing.
Good evening, commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, great. Hi. As the chairman said, Dan Ottenheimer, engineer with Mill River Consulting, regarding the proposed house at 43 Farrington Ave, and attorney Deb Ellison, representing the Sudbay family, is on this call as well in case there's any questions of a legal nature needed. We touched on this project at the last meeting, and the commissioners had some really good comments, and I have to make this pun, but bear with me. I think we hit a grand slam in responding to your puns. I would only do that tonight because it's an important Red Sox game. So I want to just talk you through what some of the issues that came up and how we address those. And obviously, if you have any further questions or concerns, we should talk that through. So we have spoken with a concerned neighbor that was on the last call in the interim and had some good communication. And we've also clarified a number of items on our revised plan. We've created a revised invasive species management plan and also revise the notice of intent form as well. So I'll summarize some of those changes and we'll get that up on the screen. I'll thank you, Adrian. That's the original plan. Would you have the revised one by any chance? Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So we've now shown in the top left where the current invasive species are located. We've also showed the end of the drain pipe that wasn't clear on our original plan. We've shown the cross section through where the drain pipe and the infiltration area is going to go. We showed where the tree and brush removal had occurred a year or so ago, and that's in the bottom right corner. And that's what was on our RDA of about 6 months ago or so. And we've also clarified the mitigation plantings, showed the species, the locations, and the square footage of that, and also added invasive plant species management to occur inside of the wetland itself, not just in the buffer zone. So we'll be improving both the resource area, we will be improving the resource area as well. So enhancements we've provided in addition to visually depicting what I just described is more mitigation. We are now at 2.4 to 1 mitigation between the impervious area and the mitigation that we're providing. We've amended the invasive species management plan to incorporate Commissioner Sargent's very good concerns. And we've also, Commissioner Gullo was concerned about just the split rail fence to separate the house from the resource area. So we're proposing the split rail fence to remain, as well as granite markers, granite posts with markers every 50 feet. So I believe I captured the commissioner's concerns from the last meeting and have incorporated into this, but obviously if there's questions or anything we want to talk about, please let me know.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Oppenheimer. I'll open up for public comment. Anyone who wishes to speak for or against the project at 43 Farrington Avenue, you may do so now by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
There are 23 attendees on the call at this time, and I see no members of the public to comment.
Okay. Then moving on, seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. Next up would be commissioner comments. Roll call.
Commissioner comments. Commissioner Charpentier.
No comments. Very thorough job in addressing our comments from the last time.
Thank you. Commissioner Cook.
I'm still concerned about the proposed manhole that's draining basically all the way down into the wetlands. That doesn't appear to have been addressed.
So let's, anything else, Bill? We'll
No, that's
put it
the
all
only
on the table and
thing
then
I see
let him
that's
answer.
there.
Okay.
Commissioner Gradwell.
Further comment.
Commissioner Sargent.
Yes, this is a very challenging site, and thank you for the meaningful changes. I would like to see a plan depicting where there are and were trees that are 7 inches or greater, and which trees are proposed to be or have been removed from the upland and mitigation areas. I would also like any trees that are removed to be mitigated with similar vegetation. In other words, removal of trees needs to be mitigated by the planting of trees and not other herbaceous vegetation. Need a monitoring plan for the survival of mitigation plantings, and it would be helpful to know if any vista pruning is going to be performed. It appears that the bottom of the infiltration basin would be in groundwater for at least part of the year. The upland portion of the site is mapped as having Sudbury soils that are typically found in drainage ways with seasonally high groundwater around 20 inches. Furthermore, the planned cross section depicts the bottom of the infiltration basin just below elevation 22. It's noted that some wetland elevations are also depicted close to that same elevation. It seems unlikely that this infiltration basin will have the 2 feet of separation from seasonally high groundwater as outlined in Massachusetts stormwater standards, and therefore would not perform as designed and might become a mosquito breeding habitat. I also didn't see a snow removal plan for the proposed driveway. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sargent. Co-Chairwoman Jackson
No comments.
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
I think Mr. Sergeant covered most of it. I would still have a problem too. I'm concerned about that drainage pipe going under the infiltration basin. I mean, it could be here, maybe I'm missing it in one of the details, but it still seems a bit awkward to me. And then I concur with everything else Dave said. So with that, Mr. Ottenheimer, you have a bunch of comments there. I do appreciate the changes as well. Items that I was concerned about have all been answered, but again, Mr. Sargent has some bigger concerns that I concur with. So you're welcome to speak and try and answer what you can. But it looks like you'll probably have to at least regroup one more time to answer some of those questions. But you can have the floor now if you'd like.
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to start with Commissioner Cook's questions about the drain pipe. So we're all on the same page about that, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So there is a catch basin on the other side of Farrington Avenue that runs across Farrington Avenue. There's a manhole there today that exists, right? Thank you, Adrian, right there. And then there is a drain pipe that goes down and discharges. Well, that's the new one. The current one goes in a straight line and it discharges at a spot right near the A1 wetland flag. As you can see, that existing pipe is where the house would theoretically go. So what we're proposing to do is reroute just that section of pipe by having it go parallel with Farrington Avenue for a little bit and then make a right turn and come down and discharge at the same location and at the same elevation that the current pipe discharges. So we're not anticipating any change in flow characteristics. It's the same water from across the street that goes into this pipe. It's going to discharge in the same location. It's just going to not be a straight line from where the current manhole to the discharge is. There would be a bend in it. So that's what's envisioned with that. Does that help put it in perspective?
I think that gets some of it. The next question would be is what I had is the infiltration interaction with is that below the infiltration and it's nowhere near it? These seem like pretty tight contours. So it seems pretty close.
Yeah, so the infiltration area is partly above, proposed to be above where the new drain pipe would go. That is correct. There is about a foot or a foot and a half separation from the top of the drain pipe to the bottom of the infiltration area. Water is going to flow down gradient towards the wetland anyhow. I don't dismiss concerns brought up by you and others that there may possibly be some interaction between the infiltration system and that drain pipe, but it's going to generally head in that direction anyhow. That's where obviously water is going to migrate.
Okay, Dan, where the pipe empties out, is there any existing, I'll call it, say, riprap or anything, or is it just an open-ended pipe that's just dropping the water down into the wetlands? Or can we put something in there to stop a flow of water, if you will, and just reduce any velocity flow coming out of the pipe?
Sure. I believe there's a small concrete pad that was put there to try and absorb the energy, but I don't think it's functioning. It's looks like it's moved away from where the outfall of the pipe is, maybe due to ice or something. So that's something we could certainly implement, no doubt. Yes, some type of energy dissipator. Yeah.
Thank you.
Dan, is this a city manhole? Is this controlled by the city?
I do not know. certainly once it's on private property, it's not the city's responsibility anyhow. There's no easement for it. So I don't know how it got there. I don't know who's responsible for maintaining it. I do believe that the catch basin across the street does get maintained by the city because I was told in a very nice conversation I had with the neighbors next door that for a while the city was not maintaining that catch basin and the road would flood out. So the city now routinely maintains the catch basin. But I'm not aware of who owns the pipe, but obviously once it becomes on private property, it's privately owned anyhow, because there is no easement.
Well, at least, you know, by adding these 2 extra additional bends, that should slow velocities down just by that nature alone. So that's good news. I think one thing we'll need too is that section AA that I'm seeing. I'm seeing the diagram to the left, but I'm not sure if it's showing everything, the distance. Well, I guess it's all there. I see it over there on the left now. Okay. All right. I think that's it for me. I'm pretty comfortable. Thank you for doing the other work.
So
But I
while
think
we-
we still have other issues to go over.
Correct. And another one that Commissioner Sargent brought up relates to the stormwater system. So I do want to clarify, my understanding is that single family houses are exempt from the stormwater management standards that are in the Wetlands Protection Act regulations. And as Commissioner Sargent said, there is a design guideline for having a 2-foot separation from the stormwater system to the groundwater table. I'm not sure that applies to single family house design projects. The other points, though, are very legitimate as to whether there will be standing water in the basin or not. And so we did do some augers. We did hit, and that's all on the plans that we provided to the city engineer, and that has been approved. And we certainly can get you that soils information as well. We did have some fill material, and then we got into the natural soil. So the soil that Commissioner Sargent, you described from the soils mapping, I think is present there, but it's overlaid by some fill material. So we're proposing to remove the fill material and bring in better quality material for this functioning of this basin itself. And our intent is to keep it out of the groundwater table. It's not designed to be 2 feet above the water table, but it is intended to be out of the water table. If the commission would like something different, we're certainly open to that.
Okay, I think you have a few more questions to answer for Dave. We're gonna need some tree
Yeah, they're all-
surveying, it looks like.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to go back and do some of that research, and also Commissioner Sargent's looking for additional tree planting. We really only proposed low-level vegetation planting. And if that's the commission's interest, we certainly could look into planting trees as well. So not a problem. We can develop a monitoring plan. In terms of vista pruning prevention, I don't know how else to go about that. We are putting up a split rail fence. We are putting up granite bounds with markers on them. And obviously the future occupants of this house are not supposed to be entering into the resource area to do anything. If there's some other mechanism that the commission recommend to prevent vista pruning, we're not adverse to that at all. And Commissioner Sargent also had a snow removal plan suggestion, and that's a good idea. So we will take that and bring that back to you as well.
Okay. Why don't we do roll call, Adrian, one more time, just go through the commissioners' roll call comments one more time to make sure we caught everything.
Sure. Comments from commissioners. Commissioner Charpentier,
No comments?
Commissioner Cook,
No additional comments.
Commissioner Gradwell,
No comment.
Commissioner Sargent.
Nothing, but I would appreciate if those soil auger information were passed along. Thank you.
Okay. Co-Chairwoman Jackson
No comment.
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
No further comments.
Thank you.
So with that, Ms. Nottenheimer, we're going to move you, continue you, I guess. Is that okay? Correct?
Yes,
Well,
100%.
it's not okay.
Yep, not a problem.
Sure, it's not, sure it's not okay.
To November 3rd?
Yes, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson moves to continue NOI 0282805, 43 Farrington Avenue to the Conservation Commission meeting of November 3rd.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes,
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes,
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
Yes,
Thank you.
we
Wonderful.
appreciate your
Thank you,
work on
Commissioner.
this. Thank you.
Sure. Yes, of course.
Next up, notice of intent 28-2809, 160 Western Avenue, Meunier, John Jutta Gateway Consultants representing.
Sure. So Mr. Judd actually just informed me that he had to step off the call for a minute and requested that we table him until later if he was not back on. So it does not look like he's back.
Okay. So we'll table 160 Western Ave and we'll move on to new business.
Yep.
First up, RDA 1710 58 Shore Road, Rennie, Dan Ottenheimer and Mill River Consulting representing. Long time no see.
Good evening. Don't worry, you'll be sick of my ugly mug shortly. So, commissioners, good evening. So I'm here representing Doug Rennie and his wife Lynn. They own the house at 58 Shore Road. That is a house kind of near the Magnolia Pier that you probably see as you're driving along Shore Road. That's the Magnolia Pier, right? So this is a little bit north of that. Yep, right in there. Exactly. Thank you. So there's an existing house. It's held up by 8 concrete support columns over the rocky shore and the ledge outcrops that comprise the coastal bank in that area. In 2010, the commission authorized the repair work to a number of the concrete support columns that are located underneath the house. What Doug observed this summer, I'm sorry, Doug, the owner, observed this summer is that some of the reinforcing metal that was located inside of these concrete posts was corroding and starting to cause exactly what you're seeing here, cracking and fissuring of the support posts. So he's immediately secured the services of a structural engineer to figure out what's going on and has lined up a contractor as soon as possible to resolve this issue, because he's obviously concerned about the stability of his house, and particularly with winter approaching. So what the proposal is to shroud the entire work zone underneath the house, suspended from the house with tarps, and then place tarps at the bottom as well, and then work on each one of the posts. So by peeling back, there's a wrap that's around it, peeling back the wrap, chiseling into the concrete itself, locating the defective, shut that off, locating the defective pieces of metal, replacing those, putting concrete patches back on, and then putting that wrap back on around all 8 of the posts. In addition, 4 of the posts, the structural engineer felt should be stabilized a little bit more. They're currently 24-inch diameter posts, and on 4 of them, he's recommending just at the base that they be made a little bit wider to 30-inch diameter posts. So that's the project for protecting the resource area. We're proposing, as I said, to wrap tarps around and underneath the work zone. The tarps on the ground would be removed at the end of every workday and material deposited into a dumpster or a trash receptacle. That's what they're looking to do.
Okay, thank you. First
Sure.
off, I'll open up for public comment. Does anybody in the public who wishes to speak for or against the project at 58 Shore Road? If so, you may do so by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
Chairman, there are 20 attendees on the call and no hands at this time.
Okay. With that, then we'll move on to commissioner comment, roll call comments.
Sure. Comments. Commissioner Charpentier,
No comments?
Commissioner Cook,
I guess the comment I have is, do they actually know what the root cause is? Because it's like what they're gonna do is go in, replace some of the existing metal and rewrap it. But that almost seems like, you know, this is something that's gonna be coming back on a regular basis. It doesn't seem that the root cause has been addressed. Doing the actual work, what they want to do, I don't have any objections to, but I am concerned that it appears to be something that will be coming back on a regular basis if the root cause of the particular problem isn't addressed. That's all I have.
Okay.
okay. Commissioner Gradwell,
10 years ago or 12 years ago, when they did this, they did an especially nice job of keeping the area clean. But at that time, they said, oh, this is really going to cure the problem. And it's obvious that that didn't happen. No comments.
Commissioner Sargent,
The repair of the columns seems straightforward. However, the expansion of the concrete base of 4 of the columns reserves, I think, some thought. Even though this is minimal, might this be considered altering the coastal bank? I'd like to know what other commissioners and the agent's thoughts are on this. And if it's minimal, we might consider that, but I really wouldn't want to trigger this into an NOI because the impact is going to be, you know, on a ledge and you're just creating another hard structure. So would we make a determination that there wouldn't have any impact? I'm not quite sure, you know, what to do on this, but for an RDA and you're expanding the, you know, the base, it seems a little inappropriate.
okay. Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
I don't really have any comments other than I do believe that the expansion of the bases is minimal, that it's another hard surface on another hard surface. And anything that's exposed to water and the ocean, I thought 10 to 12 years was pretty amazing to have it last that long. I see this as a recurring maintenance issue. I don't have a problem with it any more than the piers down in the commercial area being replaced periodically.
okay. And Co-Chairman Gullah,
I agree with Co-Chairwoman Jackson in the sense that this is going to be, I think we could condition this in a way that helps us protect the interests of the act and still allow this repair to take place under an RDA. But I would like to get the agent's opinion as well. So what are your thoughts, Adrian?
thank you. So this work actually is going to be conducted seaward of the coastal bank, and it's going to be the expansion of this footprint. The applicant is in a position where they don't actually have a choice about how they go about improving the footing, because now they are subject to building code standards. I do think that we can condition this within the scope of an RDA for work in the Rocky Shore. It's important to acknowledge here that the impact to the resource is going to be temporary in nature and only for the scope of repairing the pier and stabilizing it.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, can I ask one quick, it's putting a 30-inch tube around the post, but that's actually going to increase the size of the post, but they're all sitting on a pad, and it's not going to increase the size of the pad that's actually in the ground, is it? That would be for Dan.
Yeah, Dan, you can answer that.
Yes, correct. It's just the post, not the pad that they're looking to work on. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, with that, commissioners, any other comments in general? Dan, did you have anything else to add?
Just to provide a little bit to Commissioner Cook's concern about what's going on the inside, my understanding from a brief conversation with a structural engineer is that 11 years ago, they called for a certain type of coating to be put on the metal reinforcing bars. And they are not certain that the contractor put that type of specialized coating on or purchased the metal with that specialized coating. So now they're going to be triple certain that this specialized coating, I don't know what it is, I'm sorry, but when they replace the metal piece of supporting metal that are currently corroded, they're going to make certain that it has whatever appropriate coating to have it last longer on the metal.
Okay. Thank you very much. If there's no other comments, then I think we can move this. I'm comfortable moving it based on the agent's comments and my fellow commissioner comments.
Okay,
So-
Commissioner
Yep, go
Commissioner
ahead.
Jacqueline moves to close the public hearing for RDA 1710 at 58 Shore Road.
Carpentier seconds?
And roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes,
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes,
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes,
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
Yes,
Commissioner Jackson moves for a negative determination for RDA 1710 at 58 Shore Road.
Carpentier seconds?
And roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes,
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
yes,
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes,
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
Wonderful. Thank you for your time, commissioners.
you're welcome. Have a good night. Next up, RDA 1711, 1127 Washington Street. Scribner of, and I
Scribner.
can't pronounce the other name.
Yeah, you and most people I meet. Stott is fine, but Scrivener is the last name.
Okay, Scribner, okay. Name and address of the record?
Satyanan Scrivener, 1127 Washington Street. Good evening to the commissioners and thank you for your time. Forgive me if I'm unfamiliar with the flows. The first time I've had to appear before you.
No worries.
But essentially what I'm looking to do is put a second story on the existing home here on the lot. And the rear of the home, which you can see some of the red markings, the rear of the home, which faces essentially southward, is in the buffer zone to what, I guess you could call some type of creek that is the wetlands in question. And so I would assume it's more subterranean because really all it does is down that ditch, it gets kind of soggy in the wet season. So my assumption is it's mostly subterranean. But our intention in the rear of, as you can see, it's the southeast corner, as well as a good portion of the south side of the house that enters into the buffer zone, which is delineated by that dashed line. Our intention in the rear of the home is to go up, straight up on the south as well as the east side. And the only increase, if you will, is non-permeable. We intend to put a second floor deck that would extend approximately 3 feet out from the rear of the home, which is on the right half of the house. and then extend the existing first floor deck out to the east, following the same demarcation that currently exists. So we would not infringe anymore, even with that non-permeable area, into the buffer zone.
Okay. First thing I'll do is open up for public comment. Does anybody, if anybody in the public wants to speak for or against the project at 1127 Washington Street, you may do so now by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
Commissioners, there are 15 attendees on the call and no hands at this time.
Okay, seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. Why don't we move on to roll call comments from the commissioners?
Sure. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Charpentier.
No comment.
Commissioner Cook.
I just want to confirm that the decks are both permeable, impervious. No, pervious. I just want to confirm that they're.
They allow water to flow through them, Mr. Scrivener?
There you go.
Yes, it's a typical type deck where you have planks that would have, you know, some type of expansion gap between planks.
And the water would go to the ground.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Commissioner Gradwall.
No comment.
Commissioner Sargent.
No comment.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson
No comment.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
No comment.
Thank you.
Adrian, do you have anything to add? Looks pretty straightforward.
This is exactly as it appears.
Okay. So unless someone has any other comments, you want to move to close, St. Joe?
Certainly. Commissioner Jackson moves to close the public hearing for RDA 1711 at 1127 Washington Street.
Charpentier seconds.
And roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson moves for a negative determination for RDA 1711 at 1127 Washington Street.
Charpentier seconds.
And roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're all set, sir.
Thanks for your time. Appreciate it, folks.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
You too.
Next up, DA 1713 101 Eastern Ave, Braga. That requests a continuation
Isn't
to
it King,
November
isn't it
3rd.
King Philip Road? Oh,
You've skipped one.
Oh, my check marks are getting too thick. Let me start that
King
over. My
Philip.
apologies. 1712 19 King Philip Road. Leonard Mara L. Sheehan at Sheehan and Associates representing.
Good evening. I'm not sure that you can see me. I'm trying to
We can.
open. Okay, great. So good evening. I'm here representing Susan Hood and Tom Leonard of 19 King Philip Road. I have with me this evening Howard Rayleigh from Flavin Architects and John Moran from Cameron Moran Group. We're here to present a proposal for a carport that will be constructed over existing impervious surface. And Howard will speak to the unique design of the carport, particularly a roof, the roof that will have, it will be a green roof, meaning plantings. And then John will address any of the roof drainage or runoff, you know, as you question or have any concerns. So I'm going to turn it over to Howard, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Maura. Howard Rayleigh, Flavin Architects. Yeah, as Maura had mentioned, this was a previous order of conditions that was recently closed. And currently there is an approximately 900 square foot, 950 square foot asphalt parking area. We'd like to cover that So a couple of points I want to lean forward with. The one to start is that the current asphalt is entirely impervious. So we're not increasing any impervious or introducing any impervious area to the site. Secondly, as Maura had mentioned, we do want to cover the new roof with approximately 500 square feet of native sedums, which will further mitigate and slow down the rainwater flow. And then thirdly, all the current sheet flow that comes off the asphalt, which is directed down the page to the trench drain, most of which is captured by that, but some invariably goes off to the sides of the driveway. 100% of that will now be captured by the new roof by 2 roof drains, which direct the flow to the current swale, which parallels King Philip via an underground drain. And then I think John Moran, if you're available, if you want to talk a little bit further about that mitigation, that'd be helpful.
Thank you, Howard. Good evening. For the record, John Moran from the Moran Cameron Group. And as Howard had stated, the proposed carport is actually going over an existing paved driveway that was previously approved by the commission. So just in the fact that there's going to be vegetation on the top of this roof, you're going to have less runoff than what's currently flowing towards King Philip Road. As Howard had stated, he's going to have a drainage system on the top of that that's going to be collected. And then we're going to discharge it directly to that large trench, stone trench, riprap trench that was constructed along King Philip Road, which then discharges to 2 existing 10-inch culverts that were replaced as part of the previous filing. That'll actually reduce the amount of impervious or the amount of runoff actually heading out towards King Philip, because as Howard said, some of that roof runoff, or I mean that pavement runoff that currently heads towards King Philip, a little bit of it will miss that trench drain and hit King Philip Road, but it's now going to get collected and directed directly into that trench. The other thing that's being proposed is, because of the way this carport is constructed, there's a section of existing pavement in front of the carport that's no longer needed, and it's approximately 120 square feet. We're proposing to remove that, and that's the area that Adrian just highlighted is where we're proposing to add that 120 square feet. So there'd actually be no net increase in impervious surface. So again, we're proposing to remove 120 square feet, loam and seed it, and then add 120 square feet. That'll make the approach towards the carport a little easier. So again, there'll be no net change in impervious coverage. However, the introduction of the green roof will in fact reduce the runoff just by the fact that we'll now have vegetation up on that roof that'll work for interception, and it'll reduce that runoff. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I'll move on to, first we'll go to public comment. If anybody wishes to speak for or against the project at 19 King Philip Road, you may do so by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen, or you may use your hit *9 on your phone or a handheld device.
Mr. Chairman, there are 15 attendees on the call and one Joe Bertania with your hand up. I'm going to allow you to talk and ask you to unmute. Go ahead.
Hi, I live at 13 King Philip Road, so I'm next door. I'm speaking to support this project.
Excellent, thank you. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Thank you, sir. Okay, anyone else, Adrian?
No, I see no other members of the public to comment at this time.
Okay, seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. Commissioner roll call comments, please, Adrian.
Sure. Roll call comments from commissioners. Commissioner Charpentier.
No comments.
Commissioner Cook.
Just one comment, and it's more of a question, where it says on the right-hand side, it says the electric meter. It looks like it's going to be at the end of the carport. is it already there or are they moving it from the house to that other location? That's the only question I have.
Yeah, sorry, thanks, Bill, I'll field that. So all of the infrastructure, most of that infrastructure, in fact, is already there. So those two retaining walls that hold back grade exist, as well as all of the infrastructure on the right-hand side, the electrical meter, the underground propane, all that's per the original scope of work.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
Commissioner Gradwell,
No comment.
Commissioner Sargent.
Well, thank you for this work, and I think it's an improvement. I'm just curious if there's an O&M for the green roof, or it's not necessary, but just curiosity.
Sure. Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
No, I think this project looks pretty well balanced to me. I have no issues with it.
Okay, thank you. And Co-Chair Mangala.
I too am, really have no comments, but I do have the similar question that Dave brought up, Commissioner Sargent, that if this thing just decides not to function as a green roof anymore, it just becomes a roof. How do we manage that in the future as a commission probably is a bigger question. I don't think I really need an answer from the applicant unless they want to provide one.
I can only say that, Tom and Susan have been great caretakers of this property with quite a few plantings. And the goal here is to really provide some softness. So when you're up the hill there on that terrace area, they're really, to look down on a Black River roof would not be the best turnout. So for them, the impetus here is to really provide some good plantings for visual transition. So I think by that design, they're going to be inclined to maintain. And then with sedums, hopefully they're hardy, they're low maintenance, they vary in different heights, and they're going to be in trays. We've done that quite a bit in the past. And again, hoping that they're not susceptible to heavy rains or winds.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah.
And the only additional information I'd like to add, Mr. Chair, is that, say, for example, we do have a catastrophic event and you don't have a green roof there. Because of the fact that it's already paved, you're actually not going to have any more additional runoff heading out to King Philip Road. And as previously stated, now that there's drainage up on that roof, we're actually direct discharging that section of drainage right to that stone riprap channel, which if you've been out there, they did an extremely good job building that with the stone that was specified, and there's no evidence of any erosion of any kind. So even if that roof, for some unknown reason, reverted back to just a roof, you'd have no additional runoff. And like I had mentioned, you're now directing that runoff right into that channel. So it should have a positive impact on King Philip Road.
Excellent, thank you, gentlemen. Okay, commissioners, any other comments? If not, and Joe, you want to take it?
Okay. Commissioner Jackson moves to close the public hearing for RDA 1712 at 19 King Philip Road.
Charpentier seconds.
A roll call. Commissioner Charpentier.
Yes.
Commissioner Cook.
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell.
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent.
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
Yes.
And Co-Chair Mangala.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson moves for a negative determination for RDA 1712 at 19 King Philip Road.
Charpentier seconds.
And roll call. Commissioner Charpentier.
Yes.
Commissioner Cook.
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell.
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent.
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
Yes.
And Co-Chair Mangala.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, have a great night.
Thank you.
I see Mr. Judge is here again. Do we want to jump back to 160 West now? Adrian, you okay with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going on to notice of intent 28-2809, 160 Western Avenue, Minier, John Judd, a Gateway Consultant representing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to recap. For the record, John Judd, engineer with Gateway Consultants, representing Mr. Munier at 160 Western Ave. This is the proposed seasonal float and ramp that we had described at the last hearing. And subsequent to that meeting on the October 6th, it was requested that we get the float back down to a 200 square foot, typical to what is normally approved. So we went to a 12 by 25 to accommodate the vessel that he currently has. He has a 25-foot sailboat that he'd like to put there. And essentially that was the only change that we made to the plan. And can answer.
Brad has to recuse himself.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Judd, you're done with your presentation?
Yes, yeah, thank you.
Okay. And Joe, Adrian, you want to jump to commissioner comments? I'm sorry, I usually open up for public comment. Why don't we open it up for public comment? Anyone who wishes to speak for or against the project at 160 Western Avenue, you may do so by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
You go to the doctor? Should you go to the doctor?
Okay, there are 11 attendees on the call at this time and no hands up.
Okay, seeing none, hearing none, close the public comment period. Can we move to roll call comments from the commissioners, Adrian?
Sure, commissioner comments. Commissioner Charpentier,
No comment.
Commissioner Cook,
John, what size did you say the ramp was?
A 12 by, the ramp is
Not the
4
ramp,
by
I'm
50,
sorry, the float itself.
12 by 25.
That's what it was originally proposed as.
No, it was 10 by, I think it was 10 by 25, Bill, and then we reduced it. I'm sorry, it's now 8 by 25. I'm looking at the screen and I'm going to pull it up right here. So I apologize. We're down to 8 by 25. Yep, apologize for that, Bill. It's 8 by 25 and originally it was 10 by 25.
Okay, because I was looking in our folder and I didn't see that. And I was like, maybe the folder just wasn't updated. So I just want to make sure that that was.
Yep. Yeah, I apologize for that. No.
Yeah, it's there, I see it.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you.
Commissioner Cook. Oh, I'm sorry, you're Commissioner Cook. Commissioner Gradwell.
He's recused.
That's correct. Commissioner Sargent.
I'm wondering if we've heard from the harbor master and Shellfish on this. And as always, all material must not contain a marine biocide and not be toxic to the marine environment.
Okay, thank you. Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
No, other than that, Mr. Judd, your float was originally 12 by 25, so you've reduced it by a third. We do appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
And Co-Chairman Gullo.
No comments, except that related to, I believe we didn't hear from Shellfish or the harbor master because I believe we're required to request it at the previous meeting. Is that correct? They're not going to look at it without us asking them to look at it. And I don't know if we asked them to look at it. Did we, Adrian?
I did.
Yep.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, I did send it to both Peter and TJ, and I believe they gave comments back to Adrian directly. But Adrian, I'll let you address that.
That's correct. They did submit comments back to me. And then in addition, importantly, this commission should know the notice of intent also was submitted to the Division of Marine Fisheries. The division responded with some comments. This is fairly standard, but of course they are the usual recommendations about the height and the concern over the cumulative impact to the resource. Oops, sorry about that. And recommendations for the pilings that are similar to what Commissioner Sargent normally calls for.
So in your opinion, Adrian, is all this stuff, can we condition it or is it, do we need to continue in your opinion?
Well, I think this is complete, and I appreciate the applicant reducing the size of the float to something that is acceptable to the commission.
Excellent. Okay. All right, commissioners, any other questions or comments? Then, and Joe, if you want to close the hearing.
Okay. Commissioner Jackson moves to close the public hearing for NOI 0282809 160 Western Ave.
Charpentier seconds.
In a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell is recused, Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson moves to approve the project for NOI 0282809 at 160 Western Ave.
Charpentier seconds.
In a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Recuse.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Nice pickup, Bill.
Thank
Okay,
you,
you're all
John.
set.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we're jumping back down to RDA 1713101 Eastern Avenue, Braga. Requests a continuation to November 3rd, 2021. You want to move that in, Joe?
Yep, Commissioner Jackson moves to continue RDA 1713 at 101 Eastern Ave to the Conservation Commission meeting of November 3rd.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, hold on.
Okay. Oh, we're on page 2. Do we need to take a break, I guess I'd ask.
We're moving.
Commissioners, you want to keep going or do you need a break?
A little break would be good.
Okay, why don't we take 5 minutes so we can push through the rest of this? 5 minute, someone want to move for a 5-minute recess?
Commissioner Jackson moves for a 5-minute recess to reconvene at 7:20.
Thank you.
Charpentier seconds.
Roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Gradwell,
Yes.
Sargent,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes,
and Gullah.
Yes,
Thank you. I'll put a timer on.
thank
we need a 6-minute break if we take up a minute with voting.
you.
Barry, you getting ready to take a road trip?
Just came back from 10 days up in Canada. New Brunswick and a full week in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia.
Nice.
Nice.
If we were to maintain the level of security, I'm talking about COVID security, if they do in either of those provinces, we wouldn't have half the problem. Cannot go into any public building every time without showing identification and your COVID card.
Wow.
You can't go into a restaurant. The Lunenburg Folk Harbor had a concert one night when I was up there, and I was working the gate checking COVIDs. The people who do not get a shot can't go into a bar, can't go into a restaurant, can't go into a theater, can't do anything. If we were to do the same thing, things would be much better around here.
Yep.
Yeah, I got my booster. That's a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a
I think it was-
hypochondriac. If I could get 14 of the shots, I would.
So Barry, people who haven't had a shot can't go into the bar to get a shot.
Very good, Dave.
But I did, I turned on my solar last week for the first time. We were able to finally get everything in place and pulled the switch last week.
Did it work?
Yeah. I'm racking up credits as we speak.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah,
Adrian, kind of a side note here going on. Did any of these NOI numbers drop?
No, I checked it twice today and there was nothing new. Nothing new this afternoon and nothing this morning, so.
Okay.
That's where we're at. It is now 5 minutes, everyone. I think you're all
Okay.
back.
I think we're here. Next up. Yeah, RDA 1714 One Rose Square, Americold, John Judd, Gateway Consultants representing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, John Judd, engineer with Gateway Consultants, representing Americold. We have Eric Josephson, who is from the Josette Corporation, who would like to speak on this. Adrian, if he raises his hand, or I'm not sure how you let that happen, but I can give a brief presentation and then maybe Eric can add some color to it. It's essentially, it's a proposed galvanized pervious elevated stairway that would exit, over existing pavement area on the southerly side of the building. And it's strictly for access or egress, I should say, for an emergency situation, but it's there's no impervious area that's proposed. This is a galvanized and pervious stairway that is shown on the plan. We do have some photographs there, and we can answer any questions. Again, I think Eric might be raising his hand. Eric, if you do want to speak, raise your hand, and I think Adrian will let you speak. But if the commissioners have any other questions, I can answer those.
Okay, well, first off, I'll open up for public comment. Anyone who wishes to speak for or against the project at One Rose Square may do so by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of the screen or hitting *9 on your phone or a handheld device.
Okay, so there are currently 15 attendees on the call. There are no hands up. However, I have promoted Mr. Josephson as a panelist. If you want to close the public comment period, then we can go back to Mr. Josephson.
Seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, folks. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
This is Eric Joseph, Josette Corporation. This is one of many safety improvements that our client Americold has proposed over the years. This one is expressly egress for the freezer warehouses, and as John mentioned, we have no excavation plan. We're sitting on existing impervious materials. The upper galvanized stair will be bolted directly to existing foundations, and the lower stair is a precast set of stairs that will sit on a concrete pad that will pour over the existing bituminous concrete. I guess that's about it, unless you have questions for me.
we're gonna go into roll call comments now, so if we do, we'll put you back on, but for now, let's move ahead with roll call comments, Adrian.
Commissioner comments, Commissioner Charpentier,
I have no comments.
Commissioner Cook,
No comments.
Commissioner Gradwell,
No comment.
Commissioner Sargent,
No comment.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
No comment.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
No comment.
Thank you.
Easy.
So seeing there's no comments basically from the commission and the board, we can probably move ahead with closing the hearing, Joe, unless someone has
Sure.
an opinion otherwise.
No, that's fine. Commissioner Jackson moves to close the public hearing for RDA 1714 at 1 Row Square.
Charpentier seconds.
Okay, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson moves for a negative determination for RDA 1714 at 1 Row Square.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes,
Thank you.
you're all
Thank you
set,
all.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, RDA 1715, 6 Bickford Way, Devereaux Joseph Borland at Marine Solutions LLC representing.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for hearing us tonight.
Yeah.
How do I exit?
So 6 Bickford, it's on the back side. It's over on Rocky Neck, on the cove, and we're looking to install a pretty typical gangway and dock system. 3 foot wide gangway by 40 feet, goes down to a 10 by 20 dock, helical moorings. The gangway and the dock would both be constructed of aluminum and plastic pervious tread and decking material to allow including sunlight through it. And the gangway itself, the land end connection on this would be landward of the top of the coastal bank. So it's actually going to connect just on the other side of the wall there. You can see these cobbles on the inside. We would pull those cobbles, pour a sufficient pad underneath the cobbles, and either the pad would come right up or it would be faced with like a veneer, and the gangway would actually attach landward of that wall. We've got favorable comments from both the harbor master and the shellfish warden. It's in a prohibited area. There's really nothing, and the strata of that cove, albeit some of it mud and sand, maybe over by the beach, where this dock is, it's actually mostly like cobbles and stone. Just as a side note. And just to be clear, on these photos here that Adrian's showing, that we photoshopped that in as an example. At that dock, that it's actually from the neighbors, and we just cut and pasted over so you could see by example where the new proposed float would be, which is a little larger dimensionally than a 10 by 20, but we just wanted to give you a very clear example of what we're intending to do down there.
Understood. Okay, for now, I'll open up for public comment. Anyone who wishes to speak for or against the project at 6 Bickford Way may do so now by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, there are 16 attendees on the call and no hands up at this time.
Okay. Seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. We'll move on to roll call comments.
Commissioner comments, Commissioner Charpentier.
So in anticipation of Bill's questions, what is the size of this float?
It proposed at 10 by 20 with the typical standoffs as you know, as I've been installing previous, but the flow would be 10 by 20.
Okay, because I thought you said that it was larger than 10 by 20.
His little presentation was, he was just.
Yeah,
Oh.
just
Oh, okay, that's, I'm sorry, that was my misunderstanding.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Cook.
Where's Bill?
Bill?
Commissioner Cook appears to be off the call, so we'll skip him and we'll go to Commissioner Gradwell.
No comment. Everything looks fine.
Commissioner Sargent.
I'm just curious if Mr. Borland could help me, but a quick glance at the mapping of the city website doesn't show that, you know, the property line extends out into here, and that this might be part of the Flat Cove Petrify landing area. I don't know if this property or water sheet is owned by the applicant or owned by the city. If there could be some clarification on that. And of course, you know, all material could not have any marine biocide in it.
Okay, thank you. Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
No comment.
Co-Chairman Gullah.
No comment.
And
So, oh,
I'm just going back around for Mr. Cook. He is still off, so go ahead.
so Mr. Borland, if you could just, everybody's or not commented, except for the issue of ownership from Mr. Sargent. Can you respond to that or?
Yeah, so these would just be tidelands owned by the Commonwealth, and there's no deed to the low water mark or anything on this property, which is typical of all these homes with these retaining walls. And I think that landing that he's referring to maybe is an access point all the way down. It would be on the very far right of this photo over at the park, like even off this photo. So we're not even, you know, we're anywhere close to that landing. So if that effectively answers that question.
Dave, did it answer your question?
Yeah, they don't own the water sheet or the land where it will be in its Commonwealth tidelands. And if the harbor master has given his okay, I guess it would be okay.
Okay. Thank you. And then Mr. Cook has joined us. So Mr. Cook, if you would like to comment, you're welcome to.
Are we still talking about the stairs?
No, we're on the float.
Oh, I have no problems with the float.
Great.
Okay, commissioners, Adrian, anything to add?
I have nothing to add on this one. Thank you.
Okay. And let's, and Joe, if you want to start the process of closing the hearing.
Commissioner Jackson moves to close the public hearing for RDA 1715 at 6 Bickford Way.
Charpentier seconds.
The roll call, Commissioner Charpentier.
Yes.
Commissioner Cook.
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell.
Yes, yes,
Commissioner Sargent.
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
Yes.
And Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson moves for a negative determination on RDA 1715 at 6 Bickford Way.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier.
Yes.
Commissioner Cook.
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell.
yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, you're all set, sir.
Thank you very much for your time. Have a good evening.
You too now.
Thank you.
Next up, RDA 1716 25 to 31 Rocky Neck Avenue, 2531 RNA Realty LLC, Michael Faherty of JFM Law Offices representing.
Evening.
Good evening.
Property is at Rocky Neck Avenue. The city assigns it an address of 25. I and two other people have owned this property since 2013. And we've been making constant improvements on the property from what it was when we bought it. The pictures that I submitted with the application clearly show the degradation of the pavement closest to the chain link fence, which is on Rocky Neck Avenue. That's a distant picture taken from the waterfront. The one you're on now is the one I'd like to refer to. If you see in the background, there's a wooden shed that we still utilize. And along the fence, which is the chain link fence that runs along there, that whole area here is very degraded. You'll see in the foreground that the concrete is being undermined with some wash. So the goal here is to take that up. I indicated originally in the application that we would just grind it, but my pavement person said we'd be better off to just pull it off, and then you don't have to deal with the grinding and the side effects of grinding. And then it would just be repaved in that section. If you look at that picture on the left-hand side, you'll see I've drawn a circle around another section of pavement. We have tried to make more and more of the lot at every opportunity we get to be just a gravel-based facility. And as I told Adrian, that section itself, we will take out and that will become gravel. Okay, that's just to make it a better deal. So that is the project. We are going to put some plantings against the fence. They'll all be ones that grow on a vine. And we'll wait for the city to repair the sidewalk. And if they don't, then we'll probably ask them to let us do it. Okay. So that's really the whole project.
Okay, thank you, sir. First off, I'll open it up for public comment. Does anybody wish to speak for or against the project at 25 to 31 Rocky Neck Avenue? If so, you may comment by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your handheld device or phone.
Mr. Chairman, there are 16 attendees on the call and no members of the public to comment at this time.
Okay, seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. Commissioner comments? Roll call.
Sure. Commissioner Charpentier,
No comments.
Commissioner Cook,
No comments.
Commissioner Gradwell,
No comment.
Commissioner Sargent,
No comment.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
No comment.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
No comment.
Thank you.
Okay,
So if everybody's okay with it, nobody has any more comments, then why don't we move ahead to close the hearing?
Commissioner Jackson moves to close the public hearing for RDA 1716 at 25 Rocky Neck Avenue.
Charpentier seconds.
A roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes,
Thank you.
you're all set, sir.
Nope.
Thank you.
Commissioner
Oh, I'm
Jackson
sorry,
moves
we didn't
for-
close. We didn't vote.
Cutting me
Didn't vote.
short, Rob. Commissioner Jackson moves for a negative determination for RDA 1716 at 25 Rocky Neck Avenue.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now you're all set.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next up is notice of intent 28-2811, 14 Fort Hill Ave, nominee trust. Elizabeth Wallace at Hayes Engineering representing.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Elizabeth Wallace. I'm Hayes Engineering's wetland scientist. I am representing the homeowners, 14 Hill Avenue nominee trust. The project contractor is on the call, I believe, if we have any questions for him. If I may, I'd like to share my screen.
Typically, I don't do that, but I will drive through the notice of intent application for you if you like.
That's fine.
So you are here on page 29 with photographs.
All right. I wonder if you could, do you have the plan?
Coming.
I have only the submission from the notice of intent. Hold on one moment. Let's see what I can find. Oh, here it is. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. We are here this evening to ask the commission to approve the construction of a 3-car garage. It is a 26 by 36 foot structure. It will be accessed through a stone drive coming through an existing, extending from an existing stone drive. And it will be a 3-car bay garage with a small attic above. As you can see, we have an existing house with a patio deck. There are some landscape trees and bushes along the patio of the deck. There are also some small ornamental trees out in the lawn. This lawn extends to the left, northwesterly, and adjacent to the lawn is a very narrow channel with intermittent stream and wetland vegetation. Let's see. This is very near where the work will go. This is the patio over on the right. That is on the left, you see the hedge over on the left. The channel for the wetland that I flagged in August is inside the hedge area. The stream actually runs down towards a wetland, down to the front left of you. And the wetland comes out into the lawn and curves around. This is the existing house and a portion of the driveway with the deck and patio to the left. The stone driveway will come out from the house and come along the lawn and enter the access the 3-car garage. So the structure will be entirely within the existing lawn. The closest the structure will be to the wetland, it's seen on the left-hand side, is 20 feet. We have placed an erosion control along the edge of the lawn to protect the wetland from any incursion of siltation. That will be 10 feet from the flagged wetland line. Rooftop drainage will be directed into roof drains around the roof structure and directed into infiltration chambers for stormwater control. We expect to take down one tree, one of those small ornamental trees, but the remaining trees, as you see here on the plan, will be kept in place. We have a 50-foot buffer zone line and the 100-foot buffer zone line. And you can see that the garage structure is within the 50-foot line there. And it will require removal of the grass vegetation and the top layer of loam. The same being true for the proposed stone driveway. The house itself is accessed from Fort Hill Ave by an existing stone driveway going right up to the house, and that existing stone driveway will just be extended to the structure. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you for that, Elizabeth. I'll open up for public comment first. So if anybody wishes to speak for or against the project at 14 Fort Hill Avenue, you may do so now by hitting the raise your hand button or the *9 on your phone or handheld device.
Okay, there are 15 attendees on the call and no members of the public to comment at this time.
Okay, seeing none, hearing none, close the public comment period. Commissioner comments?
Sure, Commissioner comments. Commissioner Charpentier.
Do we have the change in the pervious and impervious for this project?
We can hold that question. Any other questions?
I was going to ask the same question that Linda did.
Yeah, so
Any mitigation that might be planned?
Okay, so Commissioner Cook?
That was really the only question I had to see the mitigation.
Okay, Commissioner Gradwell.
Where the infiltration tanks are going to be, that's right underneath a tree. And I don't see you not removing it. At the back of the proposed garage, there is a tree that's going to overhang the garage. Are you really going to leave those trees there?
Commissioner Sargent.
Dave, you're muted.
You're muted.
I'd like a 2-to-1 mitigation of removal of trees with planting of trees, as well as the question of impervious areas that other have asked.
Okay. Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
I've asked mine. It's same question everyone else has.
Okay, impervious. I'd like to point out to the commissioners that this parcel was also subject to a notice of intent filing for work in the wetlands resource area. I recall at that time when the applicant's representative was requesting to withdraw without prejudice that notice of intent filing, it was because there was the intention for a future filing for this driveway, and they had decided that it would make more sense to take the two together. So I would appreciate the representative speaking to that earlier filing and reconciling why those activities are not appearing on this one.
Okay. So did you hear that one, Ms. Wallace? Did you want to respond to the previous issue, notice of intent that was supposedly going to get wrapped into here? Does that ring a bell with you at all?
We had asked for that notice of intent, the previous notice of intent to be withdrawn. I don't recall asking for it to be wrapped into this. The reason why we withdrew it is that the first one was taking a lot of the homeowners' time, and they wanted to withdraw it to have this one in front of you so that they could start on their first floor master suite. The first floor master suite will take over the existing garage, which is the purpose of this detached garage. It's part of house renovation.
Okay, well, when it sounds like, Adrian, was this an enforcement issue?
Yeah, if you recall correctly, 14 Fort Hill Ave has a tennis court in the back on the Niles Beach side. And initially that notice of intent filing was pursuant to some resource area work that the new property owners had conducted when they first moved in to clear some of the vegetation out of that space for a view.
Okay. So, Ms. Wallace, we need this resolved first, not second. When work in a resource occurs like this, it's and then to hear that, the assumption obviously was that this issue was going to be wrapped into this recent filing so as to deal with both issues. We may need to go backwards or continue this until the original violation is resolved. Where, the fact that they want to put their bedroom is moot as far as the commission's concerned. We need that resolved, that work in the resource issue resolved before we can move and determine what we're doing here, which also needs what all the commissioners responded to earlier was we normally ask for 2-to-1 mitigation for any kind of additional impervious surface. It appears that this garage is going to require some tree removal, maybe not, but at a minimum, we like to see the math of how much new impervious you're adding to this system. So the garage roof appears to be impervious, and therefore we need to see the math so you can put together a plan to do plantings to offset the issue of the impervious roof of the 3-car garage. But that's secondary to the fact that we need to deal with the lack of a better term, the enforcement issue that occurred prior before we can vote on this. We can't, you know, just, oh, well, they need to put their bedroom in. That's not how it works here. We need to understand what happened in the original mistake, where probably could have been a mistake, but the board needs to review what happened there before we can move forward with other projects on the site. Does that make any sense?
I did not mean any disrespect to the commission by explaining why the applicant wants to do this.
No apology necessary. I just think we need to, I think we have to continue this until we get a better understanding of the previous notice of intent and how the resource was impacted by that. We need to understand that first. So I think the next step here, and I could be wrong, we'll hear from other comments, maybe from the commissioners, but I think that's the next step here, is to continue this and then refile the original, for lack of a better term, enforcement issue related to work in the resource. We're not even talking about work in a buffer zone. We're talking about work in the resource. That's a pretty nerve-wracking thing for this commission to hear.
Well, may I
Sure.
say one thing?
Sure.
The previous notice of intent was not a result. From my point of view, the notice of intent was not related to the enforcement of previous work. It proposed new work in the resource area for tree trimming and vista pruning. I'm happy to review what's needed with Adrian and hopefully resolve that. Was there an enforcement order issued?
I don't believe so.
Aware.
Requested an after the fact notice of intent to be filed. And it was filed. And the DEP comments at the time requested that the applicant show the activities rising to the performance standard of work in the resource area, at which time the applicant's representative requested to withdraw the project without prejudice under the auspices that additional work was going to be conducted on the parcel, and those activities would be taken up at that time, which the commission did extend the opportunity to the applicant to do. And now here we are with this notice of intent.
So again, I think the next step here is to continue this, follow up with whatever the agent needs or the commission needs to understand in a review and hopefully approve what took place prior or what was filed prior. Then we can move ahead with this one. But back to this project, you still have issues with impervious ratios, meaning you have to offset the mitigate to offset the impervious 3-car garage. And I believe there's a few impacted trees here near the resource, which also requires some mitigation usually from the commission. So if it's okay with you, I think at this point in time for everybody, it would be best if we just continue this to the next meeting and see if you can get caught up with the previous stuff and also supply us with the other information in terms of square foot of impervious, increases impervious and mitigation. Is that acceptable?
Yes, I agree that we should continue it. I just want to say that the impervious area created by the roof structure is mitigated by the infiltration chambers. We can provide some calculations on that. And we're certainly willing to provide mitigation for the trees to be removed. We have identified only one tree to be removed, but we will look closer at it and determine how many actual trees will be removed.
Excellent. Okay. So we're going to move to continue it now. Do you have anything else to add or?
No, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Commissioners, anything else to add before we continue this? Okay. Adrian, anything to add?
You want to go to the next meeting or the 17th, I think it is? November
Yeah,
17th.
so Ms. Wallace, do you want to continue 2 weeks or a month?
Let's continue 2 weeks, and if we need to, we'll continue to the next one past that.
Okay. And Joe, you want to move this?
Yep, Commissioner Jackson moves to continue NOI 0282811 at 14 Fort Hill Ave to the Conservation Commission meeting of November 3rd.
Carpenter seconds?
And roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll see you in 2 weeks. Hopefully we can clear most of this up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Joe, I'll be recusing from the next two if you want to take over,
Yep.
please.
Okay.
I am signing off.
Okay, next up we have NOI 028, no DEP numbers, 105 Winger Chic, Lot A. We also have Lot B. We'll take up Lot A first.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Joel Favaza. I'm an attorney at Seaside Legal Solutions with an address of 123 Main Street in Gloucester. I'm here on behalf of the owner, 125 Winger Chic LLC. With the permission of the chair, seeing as we won't get to a vote tonight without a DEP number, I'd like to discuss A and B at the same time. It's incredibly overlapping information, but I'll leave it.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. So for those of you who might remember, Adrian, I emailed you a copy of a PDF a few moments ago. I can either share my screen or if you can pull that up, that'd be helpful to walk through the presentation.
Stand by.
Thanks. So just a little bit of housekeeping. I checked the comments on the portal as to the project looking for the DEP number or numbers. This is currently a single lot, but the plan is if we are successful in permitting this proposal at both this commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals, it would then go to the planning board to be cut into 2 lots. So it may receive 2 separate NOI or DEP numbers in order to make it easier to close them out as they finish. DEP has requested an additional fee, which I believe was sent out today. And so hopefully when they receive that, we will be a step closer to getting to the DEP numbers. And so by way of background, as you know, we're on a Winger Chic Road. The resource area we're concerned about here is coastal dune. There's also an estimated habitat of rare wildlife. So the NHESP has been notified. And I don't know if anything's come back from them yet. I don't think that I've seen it. And if you go back, Adrian, to that first slide, what I'm showing here is this property may sound familiar. This property back in 2019 received an order of conditions to build the single family home that's highlighted in yellow on this page. And Adrian, if you'd be so kind as to scroll down one page. The plan tonight is to, instead of building that yellow structure, proposing to build 2 separate single families shown in blue. If you want to go down one more page, Adrian, that's kind of a transition. And through all those pages, there was a little pink outline. That was the footprint of the existing single family that is out on site. And so tonight's request on both A and B are technically an increase from the existing single family that is out there, but a pretty significant decrease from what has been approved and what a building permit has already been issued for out on site. I'd also note that we've submitted tonight 25 letters of support from people throughout the community regarding the transition from the approved design to this proposed design. All the numbers are in the application, so I don't want to spend all night going through them, but I just want to touch on some of the bigger numbers. One is the previously approved design that's, again, the building permit's been issued on, had roughly 6,844 square feet increase in impervious surface, and was going to be mitigated with 13,690 square feet of mitigation. That 6844 number now between the two houses combined goes down to 4,102 square feet increase, for which there'll still be a 2-to-1 mitigation of around 8,200 square feet. So that is, although an increase from the single family home that is out there, it would represent a decrease in 2,742 square feet of impervious surface from what is currently proposed to be constructed to what we're asking to construct with tonight's applications. And so I hope that the commission will keep that in mind when weighing, the performance standards, not looking only at the small single family that's out there, but also looking at the larger single family that's already been approved by this commission and is able to be constructed at will from the owner. The owner's
Madam Chairwoman, as a point of information, if you don't mind, Mr. Favaza, can you keep the scope of your discussion to the notice of intent filings that are before us? The commission has to conduct a de novo review for any activities that come in under each new filing, and whatever has been previously approved, while I appreciate refreshing the commission with that background knowledge, it is not relevant to their review of this particular filing and what will potentially be Lot B filing after it.
Sure. So the proposal, as I stated previously, is to construct 2 single-family structures on the property. Both of these structures will be pushed back considerably further from the edge of the primary dune than the single family that exists today. As you can see, that single family sits out in front of, by front I mean, beachward of the proposed 2 dwellings that sit almost entirely behind the existing footprint. The existing driveway is going to be reused on the left-hand lot, and the second driveway is going to be installed on the right-hand lot. And there are, of course, new septic systems which have been approved by the Board of Health going in to treat both of the houses. And so tonight's approval would be for the construction of all of these improvements on site. And both houses, I'm sorry, also have a boardwalk that stretch out to the primary dune. Right now, we're looking at the plan for the left-hand lot. So you see the boardwalk on the left-hand structure. If you go to the plan for the right-hand lot, you'll see an identical boardwalk for the right-hand structure. I may have only thrown one into this filing. But nothing's above it, actually, Adrian. It's okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So again, we are pushing the structures back further from the edge of the primary dune. We're pushing them outside of the FEMA flood zone. And I believe as for the septic systems are more than 100 feet away from both the primary dune edge toward the top of the plan you're looking at, and also from the bordering freshwater wetland to the bottom of the plan that you're looking at. So the septic systems are sited both 100 feet away from both of those resource areas. And as I mentioned toward the beginning, we are providing the requested 2-to-1 mitigation. So for the 4,100 square feet of increase of impervious surface, 8,200 square feet of mitigation plantings, and that would be dune grass, American dune grass being planted at a 2-shoot or 2-stem per square foot ratio out, again, beachward of the structures themselves. And those are shown on both site plans. So I hope it made sense to kind of go through this kind of collectively because it's a lot of overlap. If there's any site specific questions, one versus the other, we can do that, but I'm happy to turn it over to the commission for questions at this time or from the public, whatever you so choose. Thank you.
Okay, prior to turning it over for public comment, I just want to clarify, this is currently one lot?
Yes, so this is currently one lot and it cannot be divided into 2 lots until we've received, hopefully, permission from both this commission and the zoning board to construct the two separate houses that are being proposed tonight.
Okay, then I think we're going to treat it as appreciating the shared information that you've given us that is common to both lots. I will open it up for public comment, but then I would also then like you to review the distinguishing characteristics of what we'll call Part A of the lot and then of Part B.
Sure thing.
Okay, so we'll open this up for public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to comment on the project at 105 Wingershik?
Okay, there are 15 attendees on the call and 2 hands up at this time. I'm going to start with Anne Marie Lindquist. I will allow you to talk and ask you to unmute. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm in a butter to the property at 105 Wingershik Road. My properties are 101A and 101B Wingershik Road. I submitted comments in writing, including a photo, and I hope that you received that. So I'm going to repeat those comments in case they didn't come through to the commission or in case you haven't read them. There's a majestic pine tree on the beach side of this property and a smaller 2-pronged one right near it. I believe the large pine is shown on the plans as 18-inch diameter pine next to one of the boardwalks. The smaller one is not shown. They're both shown in my photograph that I submitted. The smaller one is not tall and beautiful, but it's elegant and unique, especially in combination with the large one. I did include photos. On behalf of many neighbors, I would like to ask the Conservation Commission to take extra care to ensure that these large and small pines are preserved and not damaged or removed during or after the construction. They're an iconic feature of Coffin's Beach, admired by all who walk by. There's no other tree anywhere on the beach like the large one. I do appreciate mitigation efforts, but there are no new plantings that could possibly replace these trees. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you so much.
Okay. And Carly Lane, I will allow you to talk and ask you to unmute. Go ahead.
Carly, do we have you?
Oh, I'll try again. There you are. Go ahead.
Hello. Hi, my name is actually Haley Jennis, and I'm going to be speaking on behalf of some of my immediate family members. So just a few touch points that we sent in: the environmental impact, the dune health effects on plant and animal life, non-native plant species, including the trees that Ms. Lindquist was speaking about prior to that. Just off topic, those 2 trees have, etched something into all of our hearts on the beach, especially us at 103, looking out the picture window, seeing those trees has been something that we all cherish. The existing historic significance of the dwelling currently on the property, a classic New England Cape Cod style cottage. It's over 100 years old, a very special building. And, as our home, probably one of the originals or, very, very old. Like I spoke about, the trees and the dwelling heights regarding foreign material to achieve the desired viewing heights. Just curious, what will the heights of the homes be?
That really is not a Conservation Commission issue.
Understood. Okay, I'm just curious. But,
Yeah.
if you can just save the trees. They're just unreal. They're beautiful. I hope you all can see them one time in your lives. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your speaking. Are there any other people who wish to participate?
Okay. I see no other hands up at this time.
Okay, hearing none, seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Would you like to respond to the public's comments?
You know, seeing as we're likely to come back at least one more time when we have a DEP number, I prefer to respond regarding the tree to the at the next meeting. I will say that obviously the proposed boardwalks do not intersect the tree, and they're, you know, they're elevated boardwalks, so we're not going to require any massive alterations out there on the dune. But I don't want to get, you know, speak out of school until I can talk to my client about, you know, what efforts can be made besides the typical ones regarding that tree. Nothing in the application tonight is asking to have the tree removed.
Okay, I think it was 2 trees they were talking about. Okay, could you talk about the distinguishing characteristics of Lot A first, or the Part A?
Sure. So Lot A, which is on the left as we view the plan, which I suppose would be the western lot. The difference between Lot A and Lot B, Lot A will reuse a large portion of the gravel driveway, whereas Lot B would have a new gravel driveway installed wholesale. And Lot A has the northern corner of the proposed structure is actually within that estimated habitat that we talked about earlier, whereas I believe the structure on Lot B is behind that line, with the exception of the boardwalk itself, which will go through the estimated wildlife, rare wildlife habitat. Otherwise, they are identical in footprint. They are mirror images of each other in design. And their septic systems likewise are similar and comparable, just in different locations, both with outside the 100-foot buffer from the resource areas on site.
But Part 1 has a path to the beach and not a boardwalk, is that accurate?
No, both have boardwalks. If we go up or down a page to the other, that's showing Lot A with the boardwalk, and that is showing Lot B with the boardwalk also. The boardwalk only came through when the dwelling was selected and highlighted on the plan.
Okay.
But
Do
our
they
identical boardwalks, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, do they share a septic system on Part B?
No.
Part A has its own septic system. I did not see that on the plan.
Yeah, there's 2 separate plans. You gotta toggle between
Oh.
both plans.
Oh, okay. All right. That must be my problem. Oh, yeah.
The
Right,
idea
I
being
got it.
that
Yeah.
hopefully this becomes 2 lots. Right now, admittedly, it's a little difficult. We have to keep toggling back and forth, but in the long run, when people look back and go, you know, what the heck happened out there, it'll be a lot easier
Okay.
with the separate plans.
Okay. All right, let me just make some notes there. All right. Okay. Commissioners, are there any other questions prior to continuing this?
Yes.
And do you want to do a
Bill's
roll
driveway.
call?
I'd like to comment.
Do you want to do a roll call for comments?
Sure. Commissioner comments, Commissioner Charpentier.
I'd just like to know how close that boardwalk is to that tree.
Okay. Commissioner Cook.
What, I guess one question for Joel is the existing garage, the older garage that's down closer into the wetlands, is that going to remain or be removed? And then to the existing driveway, is that going to be widened and or not resurfaced, but restoned? And are there any other trees being removed within the property that we don't know about yet?
Okay. Commissioner Gradwell.
Ms. Charpentier addressed what I wanted to. It seems very logical that if that tree is so important, to just move the walkway 6 feet one, 12 feet the other way, and not aggravate the neighbors.
Okay. Commissioner Sargent.
Yes. I want to know if any trees are being removed, and if so, I'd like to have them mitigated by the planting of trees and not dune grass. This might be out there, but I couldn't help but wondering when looking at the plans and knowing that the 3 basic factors in determining a freshwater wetland are soils, vegetation, and hydrology. If the two wetland areas or the two wet areas shown on the plan could be considered an extension of the BVW located on the other side of Winkinshiek Road. In most instances, when a road crosses a wetland, it interrupts the hydrological connection between wet areas on both sides of the road. However, at this site, the hydrology remains connected through a very permeable roadbed. Additionally, elevations in the wet area are the same as those on the southerly side of the Winkinshiek Road, and in some instances, even lower. Hydric soils are present on both sides, and the northerly wet areas also have wetland vegetations. Are these areas automatically separate jurisdictionally because of the encroachment of Winkinshiek Road? I'm curious what the commissioners and the agent's thoughts are on this unique situation. Thank you.
Okay. Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
No, I've raised my questions. Thank you.
Okay, and Co-Chairman Gullo.
He's recused.
Oh, that's correct. That's right. So there's more to do on this. Obviously, Mr. Favaza, the National Heritage Endangered Species Program has 30 days to respond. This is for piping plover habitat. So typically we do go out beyond 30 days so that we have their documentation in place. I'm curious to know, have you filed the second notice of intent with the DEP yet?
So actually, after our conversation, looked into this further and actually contacted, or no, I shouldn't say contacted, that suggests that someone actually picked up. I reached out to the Northeast Regional Office to see about what you and I have discussed, putting this into two NOIs, because my further research suggests that while this remains one property, we may not qualify to get those two numbers. So I've not put a second filing in case they come back and say, no, sorry, if this is one lot, this is considered construction of one project on one lot, and you can only use the one number we assign you. Especially given that they did respond back regarding the fees and did not say second filing required, just additional fee required. My guess is that's the way they're going to go. And so I have not filed anything until I can get them on the phone to say, yes, you can file a second NOI and we'll give you a distinct number, or no, while this remains one lot, it's considered one project and we can assign one number for the entirety of the project.
Okay. Okay, just for clarity, it says project type single family home on the DEP dashboard, wrong fee paid, raise and rebuild of a single family home is category 2A, total fee due. And an additional $585 is due to both DEP and Gloucester, with instructions on how to mail the fee. However, I think that the comments there reflect the idea that only one single family home is going to be constructed on this total parcel lot. So there may be some confusion for you to work through with the DEP and explaining to them that in fact it is an attempt for two single family homes on what is currently one lot. And I think then the guidance you will get back is that you will need to file a second for the second lot. But
that's absolutely fine.
Anything could happen. Either way, if you're filing for this lot under this notice of intent and you have submitted to the National Heritage Endangered Species Program, you have a holding period for that feedback, but please be advised if, as and when you need to file for Lot B, assuming that, for example, you decide to amend this and take it as Lot A only, you will need to submit to National Heritage Endangered Species Program again and wait for feedback for Lot B when that happens.
The original feedback covers Lot A and Lot B.
I anticipate that it will not.
Okay, well, again, that's the bridge we could cross. We'll cross that bridge. I suppose you earlier, there's no objection to doing it. I just don't want to overcomplicate and then be told, thanks for trying to make it easy, but we actually wanted you to do it the other way. So that's why we haven't submitted anything beyond our initial filing yet.
I wish you the best of luck in reaching them.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Vaza, when would you like to continue this to?
I would love if we could get a space on the next, actually, so 30 days out from the filing. This was filed back by the 6th, so 30 days would, so you're meeting on the 3rd and the 7th. So the 3rd would not be 30 days, so I assume that would mean we need to go out to the 17th regardless, so that you're beyond the 30-day period that Adrian just spoke about, correct?
Yes.
So then I suppose we'll ask for a space on the 17th, please.
Okay, we will do that for you. Adrian, you have this down as 2 separate applications. Can
Yeah,
we move it as one?
Yep, you can move it as one, take them together for now.
Okay, Linda, you want to do that?
Yes, Charpentier moves to continue NOI 028, no DEP number at 105 Wingersheet Lot A, and NOI 028, no DEP number at 105 Wingersheet Lot B to the commission meeting of November 17th, 2021.
Bradwell, second.
Roll call. Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell.
Yes, with comment.
Okay.
Yeah, it's beyond me how you're going to proceed without separating the 2 lots. I don't think that we can do it, and it's just going to continue to confuse stuff. You can't have 2 different DEP numbers on the same, well, you can. I think you're into trouble.
Okay. Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gulla.
He's recused.
Oh, he's recused. Thank you very much. November
Okay.
7th.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Mr. Vavaza.
Good night.
Okay, Rob, we need you back.
I think you said the last 2.
I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to introduce it?
All good? I can move?
Yeah.
We're moving on.
Okay, notice
You go forward here. Let's get this finished up.
Notice of intent, 28, no DEP number, 20 Nautilus Road, Bill Manuel at Wetlands and Land Management representing.
Good evening, everyone. Bill Manuel from Wetlands and Land Management. This is 20 Nautilus Road. The project is a significant home renovation. It'll be a total gut job on the inside, and the exterior gets a total new shell, new siding, new windows, new doors. There are 2 areas of actual new building addition. At the rear of the home, there's a new stone terrace, and the existing deck will be demolished and rebuilt in a different shape. The driveway, which is a rather significant paved driveway, will be torn up, and that will be replaced as a pervious surface. You can see also right about where Adrian's cursor is, there's a small parking area extension off of that, which happens to be outside of the buffer zone to the coastal bank. So the resource areas affecting the project include land subject to coastal storm flowage, which extends to elevation 16 on the site. And then the coastal bank is determined by comparing the ground slope or analyzing the ground slope in relation to the flood elevation. And you can see the topography is fairly flat around the elevation 16 contour. So applying the age-old DEP 92-1 policy, you get an irregular line, which the commission has seen many, many times, which is basically related to the difference between having a ground slope of flatter than 10-1 versus ground slope being slightly steeper than 10-1 below the 100-year flood elevation. So That's why you get that irregular coastal bank line. And a portion of it you can see on the driveway where it says indicates 12 feet wide, that elevation 16. You can see the coastal bank line, intersects the existing driveway just by following the 92-1 policy. On site, it's basically indistinguishable. It's just a gently sloping lawn area, and you'd never be able to say, oh yes, that's a coastal bank. But nevertheless, that's the policy we've been working with since 1992. At the end of the day, there's going to be a decrease of 1,952 square feet of impervious area. The work occurs directly adjacent to the existing structure and over the existing driveway. There's excellent access to the site. Everything is within maintained areas already. And so we're very happy that we have such a large decrease of impervious area.
Okay. Let me open up for public comment first. Anyone who wishes to speak for or against the project at 20 Nautilus Road may do so now by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, there are 5 attendees on the call and no hands up at this time.
Okay, seeing none, hearing none, I'll close public comment period. Commissioner comments next.
Commissioner Charpentier,
None at this time.
Commissioner Cook,
No comments.
Commissioner Gradwell,
I didn't see any trees indicated. Are there any trees on this lot?
There are no trees that will be impacted on this project.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sargent,
No comment.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
2 quick questions. On the expansions on the deck, on the terrace, I think, what are they over? What exists there now? And is the shed that is being replaced, that looks like it's being replaced by a larger shed, but I'm sure it's counted in. Just, yes, it is. Never mind. I see that now. Okay. So just what's there now where you're expanding?
It is grass.
Okay.
Yep. And the new shed, I did forget to mention that as my laundry list of things that be done, but that is the overstory canopy line. That is not removal of vegetation. That happens under the tree canopy.
Okay.
Okay. And Co-Chairman Gullah.
So I appreciate the explanation. I know what's going on between coastal bank irregularities in the line, but also you're showing that retaining wall. Is that in any way going to be considered armoring of coastal bank?
Which retain, oh, right in there.
Correct.
You see it stops just short of the coastal bank. You see it goes right up to the elevation 16.
Okay, just clips it at the end there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That was all I had. So commissioners, if anyone else has any comments, add to this, comments, questions, concerns. Adrian, anything to add?
I don't think I have anything for this one.
Okay. With that then, and Joe, if you want to close the hearing.
Sure. Commissioner Jackson moves to,
No, we can't.
do we have a
Well,
D-
you don't have a file number.
Continue it.
Okay, to the next meeting?
Right, November 3rd, please.
Okay. Commissioner Jackson moves to continue NOI unassigned DEP number at 20 Nautilus Road to the Conservation Commission meeting of November 3rd, 2021.
Charpentier seconds.
Roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, notice of intent 28- no DEP number 2 Howard Road, Rosito, David S. Kelly at Meridian Associates representing. Mr. Kelly here.
I am here. I don't have my camera working for some reason.
Your camera is working, but your mic is turned way down.
We see you, but you're quiet.
How about now?
That's perfect.
Um,
Name and
David
address.
Kelly, 2 Howard Road.
I'm sorry,
Um,
name and address.
Pardon? I'm sorry.
Name and address, please.
Sure. David Kelly, Meridian Associates, 500 Cummings Center, Beverly, Mass.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm here before you tonight. Mr. Rosito has some invasive species on his property, basically along the northern and eastern property lines with some scraggly areas out in the front of the house. He simply just wants to remove that vegetation and replant it with loam and seed. There's also a tree in the southeastern corner adjacent to his driveway that is upheaving his driveway, so he wants to remove that tree as well. His plan is to cut down that tree as soon as possible, leave the vegetation through the winter to let it die, and then first thing in the spring, go in there, excavate out all the bamboo, properly dispose of everything, and then replant it with loam and seed.
Okay.
That's.
I'll open up to public comment first. If there's anyone in the public who wishes to speak for or against the project at 2 Howard Road, you may do so now by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, there are 3 attendees on the call and no members of the public to comment at this time.
Okay, seeing none, hearing none, I'll close about public comment period. Roll call comments from commissioners.
Sure. Commissioner Charpentier.
Yes, that looks like a fairly mature tree, so what's the mitigation plan for that? It would appear to me that if we take down 1, we put up 2.
Sure, if he could. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, why don't we go through all the comments, take notes, and then we'll cover them all once.
Okay, is that all for you, Commissioner Charpentier?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Cook.
Chris, did you say bamboo? We were talking about the invasive species, but what types of invasive species are we talking about?
Japanese knotweed, I think.
Is it Japanese knotweed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Commissioner Gradwall.
No comment.
Commissioner Sargent.
Commissioner Charpentier and Commissioner Cook's comments were mine as well.
Okay. Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
Even with the invasives, it looks like there's some habitat and cover for critters and et cetera there. When you say replanting with loam and seed, that sounds like grass to me, which does not provide equivalent habitat values. I would just kind of like to expand a little on that, or you to expand a little on that.
Okay. And Co-Chairman Gullo.
Yes, kind of similar to my same comment would be is it's kind of a unique project. I guess in the end, if we're getting rid of invasives, it's a worthwhile project. But like, even though it's an invasive at this point in time, it's still habitat to other critters. So I don't know if we can strike a balance here in some form or fashion with at least some plantings of some bushes and something buried, the tree. I agree, the tree is pretty big, as a fellow commissioner mentioned, but if we're gonna drop a tree that big, we'd like to see a couple planted as mitigation for removal of it. And those are my comments. So we gave you a bunch to respond to there. I don't know if you want to come back and tell us what your thoughts are.
So with the large tree, we would definitely be willing to mitigate with planting a couple more trees on the property. That's not a problem at all. When this house was previously approved, the northern property line has a 10-foot wide, I think, area that was to be planted with a very specific planting list that you folks approved. That is what we were going to replant along that property line. It has indigenous shrubs, flowers, various different ground cover to provide the habitat. So
Okay.
that was our intent, was to replant that area with that to provide the mitigated habitat.
Oh, sorry, I missed it.
It was on the previous plan when the house was built.
Okay.
So what I can do is I can add that description onto the, because it's not getting approved tonight. Add that description onto the plan, specifying how we're planting that area to mitigate the habitat.
Okay. Great.
Curious, did it ever get planted with the original plan and then just let go, or just did it never get planted?
I can't speak to that. Adrian,
Okay.
correct me if I'm wrong, but an order of condition, certificate of compliance was issued for the property.
Yes, my understanding is that a certificate of compliance was issued. The order of conditions was significantly older. So we could not tell one way or another if it was planted and then left to be overcome by invasive species, or if in fact the work was never done.
Okay.
Okay, is the property being graded as you're removing all of these invasives? Are you going to be regrading to smooth
That is-
everything out?
That's not the intent. I mean, there might be some minor grading occurring just from the removal of soil and, putting the soil back in. You might get a small variation in what's there now, but nothing, he's not bringing in 3 feet of fill and put in retaining walls or anything. He just wants to get rid of that stuff.
Okay.
All right. If commissioners don't have any other comments, we've opened it up to the public.
Oh, I just had one other thing.
Sure.
Are we gonna get a revised plan that shows where the 2 trees are going and how big the new trees are going to be in diameter?
Yep, it's going to show the area that is being mitigated for the wildlife habitat, as well as the location and species of the 2 trees.
And would it be possible also to list the kinds of invasives that are being removed and to provide another copy with this application of the original planting that you're going to be putting in?
So I'm going to add that table with the
Yeah.
plantings that are required onto this plan.
Yeah, as well as a enumeration of the invasives that are being removed. You don't have to be real specific, just the types and rough area of them or something.
Sure.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Can I ask a favor of the commission, potentially?
Sure. You
Um,
can ask.
Would he be allowed to remove that tree prior to the conditions being ordered, approved?
That's a
No.
little tricky.
That's a no.
That's a no.
Asking.
Okay. Because he's okay.
Yeah, it's a little tricky when we do it that way. Things change too quickly. I think we'd appreciate leaving it now until we have the plan in place at least.
Well,
Sure.
is there a safety issue with the tree?
He just wants to get it out as soon as possible because since it's upheaving the driveway, he wants to get it before the ground gets too cold and starts to frost and heaves more. So he just wants to get that out as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think we unfortunately have to leave it until we can at least finalize the plan.
Yep.
He has some space before a hard freeze.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
what's
figured I'd ask.
Okay,
No,
I'm gonna
sure.
ask, you said she wants to take it out. Is she planning on removing the stump also?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, in this
that's-
particular case, it's in his driveway. He has to. I mean, that's the
Yeah,
intent.
Yep.
Okay. All right, any other comments, commissioners? Okay, why don't we gotta continue this to the next meeting, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Jackson moves to continue NOI 028 unassigned DEP number at 2 Howard Road to the Conservation Commission meeting of November 3rd, 2021.
Carpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes,
All right.
okay.
Thank you very much.
sir.
Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you, you too.
Next up, other commission business. We have RDA 1709, 17 Nautilus Road, Bass Rocks Beach Club.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is coming back on the agenda as the commission did close the public hearing for RDA 1709 at our last meeting. However, you did not take a vote, which we discovered as we were recording the meeting. So if you would please vote on this. The issue date is set for tomorrow, and that's why I always do issue permits a day after the next meeting, so we can capture things like this without having a hiccup on the timeline for the applicant.
Very good.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson moves for a negative determination for RDA 1709 at 17 Nautilus Road.
Carpentier seconds.
And roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, extension 028-1929, 37 to 61 Riverside Ave. McNiff representing, or McNiff owner. We are requesting, they're asking for an extension permit, an extension to the permit, is that it?
Yep, that's correct. Mr. McNiff is on the call, and if you would like to speak for yourself, you're welcome to at this time. However, I can also communicate on your behalf. I'll give you a minute to turn your video on if you want to. Oh, there he is. Hi, John.
Good evening, members of the commission.
Name and address for the record?
Sure, for the record, John McNiff Jr., 11 Blackburn Center, trustee for the Cape Ann Forge Trust and owner of the McNiff Company. Real quick tonight, I'm here to ask the commission to extend our order conditions currently, Mass DEP number 0281929. The order conditions is on our, what we call the Anchorworks subdivision project, a 5-lot subdivision at the end of Riverside Ave. We are currently set to expire, or the order conditions is set to expire on the 23rd of April, 2022. We would ask that you consider extending that order conditions deadline for 3 more years, what we hope will be our 3rd and final extension. That would bring us to April 23, 2025. Little unique situation here in that we are currently under MBTA temporary taking for the final lot known as 61 Riverside Ave. Thank you, Adrian. It is now being used as a laydown construction yard by the MBTA to recreate and renovate and rebuild the MBTA train bridge over the Annisquam River. What they have done recently is done a second temporary taking that extends us out, and this is a mistake in my application letter where I said April 7th, 2024. It's actually August 7th, 2024 is the end of their current taking, which I attached to my letter. So if you would be so kind as to approve an extension, it would give us an 8-month window to either revisit and amend our final, our lot, which was approved for a duplex, by the way, either amend and or initiate construction to get it done before the end of the order conditions final extension or hope for extension. In the meantime, after a conversation with Adrian previously, I think what we do, assuming we get approval of the extension, is approach, and we'll do this anyway, but we're going to have to approach the commission and ask for partial release for the other 4 lots, which are completely constructed, stabilization, landscaping, all the other drainage and infrastructure has been done and completed. We're sitting there just mowing lawns and weeding, planted areas while we wait for the MBTA to finish their work. We have not installed the final course of pavement, but we're going to go ahead and let the MBTA finish their work and their damage, and then come back and do that final course of paving. Love to hear any
Okay.
questions or concerns.
Yeah, it seems pretty straightforward. Normally, we don't give a 3-year bump, even though we're frugal with our extensions, but this has got an obvious issue related to it, so I'm fine with it. Adrian, to see what other commissioners feel.
Sure. For comments, Commissioner Charpentier.
Yeah, given that you're working with a government agency, I think the extension is appropriate.
Commissioner Commissioner Cook.
3 years is fine.
Commissioner Gradwall.
Mrs. Charpentier put it very well. I'll go along with her.
Mayor Sergeant.
I'm fine with a 3-year extension because I understand the frustration that Jay has had.
Commissioner, Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
Yeah, that's fine.
And Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Okay, finally. You're welcome to make a motion. Thank you for coming here, Mr. McNiff.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson moves to approve a 3-year extension for 0281929, 37 to 61 Riverside Avenue.
Charpentier seconds.
And roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Chairwoman Jackson, oh my God,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes,
Thank you. That was
Thank
great.
you're all set.
Thank you very
Good
much.
luck.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Good night.
Okay.
Linda, I think you've destroyed our agent.
I know. I need a break. Okay. Agents violations, I don't see anything. Certificates of compliance, I see 2. Anything to do with these, Adrian, or just move them?
No, 028, that's not a typo, 822
Okay.
Eastern Point Boulevard and 2749 7 Sumac Lane.
So we're
can
right.
we separate these two on the vote, please?
What was that?
Separate them on the vote.
Okay. Commissioner Jackson moves to approve a certificate of compliance 028822 for 71 Eastern Point Boulevard.
Charpentier seconds.
Roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson moves to approve a request for a certificate of compliance 0282749 for 7 Sumac Lane.
Charpentier seconds.
Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
abstain.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Okay.
Did we do it?
Well, I think we did took a dent out of that.
Made it.
Is this when Adrian tells us that we just got 10 more filings?
I only saw, I think, 3 today.
Oh,
Great.
Oh, that's good.
And when will these be ready to sign, Adrian?
I will drop them tomorrow, probably by noon. So
Okay.
all right.
Okay.
that was so funny, Linda. Very
I'm sitting here wondering if 3 years is going to be enough.
Probably won't.
Yeah. Oh my God. But working for the government, I really appreciate it. No one could appreciate it more than me.
I can understand that.
All right. Everybody be well. Someone want to move to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Charpentier,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Gradwall,
No,
Sargent,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
and Gullah.
Yes.
All right. Thank you all. It was a
Thank you.
good
Mr. Sergeant, I could use a little bit more help on this.
Be safe, everybody. See you in a couple of weeks.
Good night.
Good
Take
night,
care.
all.
Everybody take care.